Okay, how's everybody doing? Let's assume everything's working. And uh, the ones that they got displayed today are chicken wing candy. She's got a thing called Freedom going on. Uh, Nicole T's got her 6-year anniversary subathon is tomorrow. Little Creator. I don't remember where I found her at. I don't remember watching. She might not be like one of my. I might not be following her. I don't know what causes them to get put up. Uh, Faith is looking. I think she was pregnant at one point. Well, she seems to have recovered her body after that because she's looking good. Mira is on here, and then DJ Sheldon and Fire Dancer. Mira is doing a twerk countdown. I don't know if it's her or if she's following somebody. It doesn't look like her. It looks like somebody else. Uh, there is one in Japanese or Chinese letters. I think she's Japanese, but I'm not 100% sure. And then we got Melina is Tell Me More About Zombies. Uh, okay, let's go and see if my microphone is working. Hey, it's working. It is good. Okay, I redid this. It was over here where the uh, carrots ended. I redid it, and because I had to manually feed them, and like I don't know if there was something here or if it was a glitch or what, but every time I would feed it, and then I'd have villagers. Well, within a day or two, they'd all be dead. And this is my the chocolate, whatever, the cocoa beans or whatever. I got those on both sides. Um, well, this guy picks the carrots and feeds them. So there should always be. Now I got a thing. I don't understand it, but every now and then one of the villagers gets away. I think they're spawning and able to jump onto the platform. I might be wrong. It might be fixed now, but because I haven't seen any for a while. But there was one that came after I did that. Well, he might have just been available. He might have already escaped, and then he was just coming back. I don't know. But I got that completely redone. I got lightning protection on it. I got some lightning protection on the raid farm. My turtle farm, I still need to put it. Uh, okay, now I just want to say today. I don't think either one of them are new. In fact, I know one of them isn't. The other one I think is like a few months ago, but they're new to me. I don't remember seeing them. Although the one it showed up as partially viewed, so I must have watched it and just don't remember doing it. But one of them has an they're interviewing and they've got they're interviewing I can't remember. He's a mathematician. You see him in the UFO. At least I see him once in a while. I don't really know him because he doesn't show up in my no. Maybe he doesn't do a lot of interviews. But it's Eric something or other, not the guy from Skinwalker Ranch. Uh, but he is being interviewed, and they've got Mick West on there. Everybody's favorite debunker, everybody's favorite skeptic. Yeah, I wonder if we'll ever find out if he's a paid government shitbag. But they're doing an interview, and where I started watching it, uh, I gotta give it to Mick West. I gotta give it to him. Uh, he isn't one. He doesn't appear. He might be, but he doesn't appear to be a zealot. Because when the other guy was talking, he just calmly. I gotta give him credit for that. Because he wasn't trying to cut the other guy off. I got a little more respect for him than when I started watching it. And I'll try and do a podcast about that. And the other one, it's like it was filmed in 2022, but they only released like parts of it. They took clips of it, so now they were releasing the whole thing. And it's with it's the well, I don't want to split this. I want you to wait until I get now. Like the thing today, I fully expect you to have watched it if you're interested, because I skipped a day and whatever. But and for all I know, I might have forgotten about it. So, but it was an interview of Jeremy Corbell, and I really think I do agree with what he did in there. Some of the things he said, but I don't know if I'm gonna put some buildings up here or what. But I started clearing this out, and this, if you notice, this a lot of this used to be rock. I have started terraforming it, and putting my lighting sources in so it won't be a mob farm. And I did some of this over there by the villager farm. I think that is why my villagers are surviving better, because it can't spawn as much. I'm really starting to explore this. Uh, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just clear this if I can. I'm gonna clear this while I talk about it. Oh, and I'm not gonna go over and look at it unless I need to go over there for something. But at the end over there, I converted one of the things to uh, a bone meal farm. The roses or whatever, the poppies that are coming off of the iron farm. I've got like a chest. I got like a chest or almost a chest of them in the waistline that comes off, the stuff that doesn't get sorted. So I've got that in there. I can move those, but for the most part, I've got more than I'm probably ever going to need. So I'm just converting that to bone meal. Uh, it's a long story, but I got plans for it. Stay tuned. But I started watching. Well, I'm just going to get right into it. Hang on. Yeah, the I I don't I don't know. I'm not. I really don't know. But my brother, last time he got sick, I think he had COVID. I don't. The cats finally started having respiratory problems, but he was good for several days, and now he's gotten sick again. But he doesn't seem nearly as bad as the last time. So he's this is his second appointment that he's missed. He was sick, and then he had like an appointment or two, and then he got sick again. Now he's so it sucks. It really sucks. I'm just hoping I don't catch it. I'm sheltering in place in the other side of the house. Like the last time he was sick, when he started eating again, I go, hey, look, I just assume you have your meal after I eat. Like when we usually do one meal together. And I go, I don't mind cooking, I don't mind sharing, but I would just appreciate it if you stay in the living room until till I get done eating. Because I told him, I go, what the, oh, I really don't want to get sick. He was so bad the other day. Again, he wasn't as bad as last time, but I got worried that he was maybe dead. So I watched him for a little bit until I saw him breathing. I saw his chest move, and it's like, oh, okay, I don't have to worry. And then after I ate for the evening, because he didn't he if he's getting up and eating, he's doing it after. He might actually lose some fucking weight, get back down to human size. Stop impersonating the Michelin Man. But I was worried about it, and I remembered the last time he got real sick and he ended up in the hospital. When the ER came, they were like really surprised that he'd been, we left him and he'd been sleeping for like a couple of days. And I go, look, that is not anything unusual for him, you know. And then they kind of calmed down. I go, I don't want to go through that shit again. So I asked him, I go, look, do you need to go to the hospital? You need to get an ambulance or something? And he goes, no, I don't think I'm that bad. I go, well, and he sounded real coherent. So I kind of let it go, and then we talked about some other stuff, but uh, it is what it is. Well, anyways, okay, I watched a YouTube video. I'm not recommending you watch it. I'm encouraging you to watch it, and I wanna stress that because I'm not going to do a podcast on it. But like this one today that I'm going to be talking about, I highly recommend that you watch it. I cannot stress that enough. I am recommending you watch that one. And but this one here, I'm just encouraging you to watch it because if I'm recommending it, usually if I'm doing a podcast on it, something like that. Um, it's on Whitley Strieber's channel, and if you don't know who he is, and you might not, ask probably your great grandparents or your grandparents if they've ever read the book Communion. And I haven't read it. I don't know him. I don't know, but a friend of mine read it and he was really freaked out by it. And but it's on his channel. He does a podcast, and it's called Nick Pope in a Totally Incredible Interview. And there's a little bit, but that should be enough to find it on YouTube. Uh, and his book Communion, it's an abduction story that's a first-hand account. So he was abducted. He claims he was abducted by aliens, and that's his story. And I don't know what to make of him. That's the only reason I don't recommend him. There's other people I don't trust or don't believe. Him, I don't know. Like, I haven't read the book. I can't judge him when not having the book. One thing that's really influenced me is I remember hearing Joe Rogan talk about him, and he was asking, because somebody else was on his show, and it was a UFO guy, and he's like, "You ever meet Whitley Strieber?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then some way or another, it came up about whether they believed him or not. And Rogan said, he goes, I really don't know what to make of it. The guy is such a phenomenal fiction writer or nonfiction writer. He goes, he's such a phenomenal writer of, like, I guess they'd be nonfiction stories. Or I can't remember. One of them, it basically is the stories that aren't true. I think that's nonfiction or fiction. But he goes, he's such a good writer. He goes, I just can't tell. And that's, that's all I've been. And they were the same way. They're like, look, I just don't know what to make of him. They weren't shitting on him. They weren't calling him a liar. They were just saying they didn't know. And that's where I'm at on it. It's, that is honestly where I'm at on it. I just don't know. And I think that's a good place to be with the UFO phenomenon. Is just, instead of these people that come out and, oh, it's this, that, or the other thing, well, just no. You don't know. That's a perfectly acceptable answer. Or, the point where you're willing to believe, but you're got a little bit of skepticism. You're willing to believe, but you want proof, or you want to hear more. These are okay places to be. You shouldn't let anybody, not me, not anybody else, pressure you into believing something that unless they've got hard proof. And like, again, part of why I believe is like the Rendlesham Forest, the Roswell. I mean, Roswell, the U.S. Army told us that they found a UFO. They found a flying saucer. They recovered it. That right there is why I believe. Part of the reason I believe in it. Because they told us. Before they sent the goon in to scuttle the story, they told us. It was the Army. It was the United States Army. They had just won World War II. It wasn't the Inquirer. That's why I believe. And he was interviewing Nick Pope. And Nick Pope was a guy, again, I'm not willing to call him a liar, but I lost a lot of credibility in him. Because during the COVID thing, I saw how easily he got duped by the anti-vax crowd. And this is why I'm recommending it, but I'm not, or I'm endorsing it, but I'm not recommending it, because I don't know if I completely trust him, because I remember there was a discussion on Bob Lazar, and they might have picked him because if anything went wrong, they could discredit him. And there's talk that Nick Pope was groomed for the job. They had his eye on him while he was going. And like there's God, I can't remember it was a show. It was it was a story. But stories like that are usually really believable because they're based on real evidence. Oh, I know what it was. It was NCIS. It's the one where they kind of went back in time and then they popped into the future. Vance had gotten blown up, and it looked like the Israelis might have been involved, or the cause of it. Maybe they didn't set the bomb, but somebody was trying to kill them, and Vance got caught up in it. And they did a flashback to when Vance was in college, and he was pretty much groomed. They were following him for like his whole time in college, and wondering if he wanted to come work for the Navy. And it was that kind of thing. That shit kind of happens. Well, I wonder if the reason why they recruited him is because he would definitely do a good job, but he was, they might have noticed his ability to believe real easy with very little evidence. So I don't know. I think there might be something to thinking about there. That he was picked, so if anything went wrong, he could just discredit him, or because he they could, again. It's like oh god, there's stories that I don't want to go. I don't want to devolve too much into them, but there's other UFO stories I heard where, and Cobell has said, he might even said it in here, but Cobell has said it in interviews, where he vets everything. If you give me, he goes, like, if you come to me and you give me something, I'm gonna vet it. I'm gonna do my own research, because he's had people who seem credible. They seem credible. Everything they give them checks out, and then they slip that one thing in there, and that's how you discredit somebody. And I talked about this. Like, you can have people that are you can have things like, when George Bush was in the Champaign division of the Texas National Air Guard, it seemed to be like a made up of people in rich and connected families, so they could keep them out of service. Well, the story is, he as soon as he got near the number where he could actually be activated and sent to war as a pilot to Vietnam, he quit showing up. There was he had to do a flight test. It was like a yearly thing. Well, he refused to show up, and out came this document that must be getting dry in here. My nose is itching. Hang on a second. Hang on a sec. Okay, mic check, mic check, mic check. Okay, we're good. Um, but they so you got that there. I mean, that's a real easy way to discredit someone. Like with George Bush, this guy came forward and he had these documents, and they were from and it was from his commanding officer or whatever. And he's like, well, I'm supposed to give him a yearly review, but I'd be really happy to, but I haven't seen him in the last year, because he quit showing up. He was supposedly, he was there for his weekend of duty, except for the people in that report said he never showed up. And that the time period he was busy away, working on a politician's campaign, or working for him as an assistant or whatever. And stuff his family would have probably gotten him in on. Well, they said he didn't show up for any of his duty. He didn't show up for any of his weekend duty, and he didn't show up for his mandatory, service every year. It's like 2 weeks or something like that. And that's what this guy put in there. And they did all the due diligence, and the reporters said that if that was anything non-political, if that was anything that wasn't protected, the vetting we did would have been enough. They confirmed that it was with a typewriter that was used by the military. I don't think they could prove that it was there. The his commanding officer was dead, so they couldn't. The guy who wrote the report was dead, so they couldn't ask him. But they talked to his secretary, who said that she didn't type it, she didn't remember typing it, she didn't remember seeing it, but the general was known to type his own stuff at times. Like if it was something where she had already gone home for the day and he needed it right away, he wouldn't insist she come back. He just type it up. And she goes, this would have been something he probably would have typed up because it was something like with the personal, the fact that it might be something that would piss people off, he might have typed it up, keep her out of it. But she said, yeah, he occasionally typed his own stuff, and she said that it was, what she remembers, that's what was going around the water cooler. That was the scuttlebutt on the base. And Jesus Christ, these are really tall. Most of these I plan I can cut off where it's got over and over again really, really tall trees. Okay, I'm gonna quit doing it so I can get onto the story, but I'll just hang out. I'll maybe come over and hang out near the villager farm. Give you guys a new scenery to look at. Oh, my laptop shut off. There we go. But this is how they get you. They I've heard him say it, and I've heard other people say it. They feed you stuff that might be true, and then they slip in that one thing because that's all they need to discredit you. Works in politics, works in UFOs, yeah, this is something like. Yeah, he's so easy to believe the anti-COVID stuff. I view him like Josh's assistant from the West. I think it was Donna Moss. Running around thinking something's in the sky when it was an old satellite. They gave her a report and asked her to pass it on to CJ. Somebody she didn't normally work with. She knew who they were, but she didn't normally work with them. They asked her, they go, yeah, can you pass this on to CJ? She goes, yeah. And then she went around the rest of the episode. And then when somebody saw it, they go, don't we get like 3 of these a week? Because there was a report that something was something was in the sky or falling out of the sky. And she was going around panicking. And when it finally got to the one person, she goes, don't we, I think it was CJ, when she finally found out, she's like, well, don't we get like 3 of these a week? And they go, yeah, but Donna doesn't know. We get entertained. Okay. But I might be wrong. I might absolutely be wrong. I really don't know. This is kind of like Gary Nolan, who I'll bring up in this later. He's another guy. I really don't know that much about him. He gives off a vibe, and that's all it is. And today he kind of, but he usually comes off, and maybe he's just not good at interviews. Maybe he's just not good at interviews or whatever. But he's another one that just I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I am going to tell you that it. I really think that what I saw Nolan do today, I think that's a ringing endorsement for you to go and watch this documentary. I would watch the whole 3 hours just to see that one thing that he does at the end of the end of today's thing, and you gotta wait till the end of the thing. But but this video I saw, they had an interesting take on the Bible connection, and the UFOs and water. I saw a meme the other day. It goes Adam and Eve, the first one to misread the Apple contract or something like that. Uh, but okay, so but that was the main thing. I want to like, but they talk about the Bible connection, and it's an interesting take. Part of what they were saying I had never heard before, and I found it interesting. So you know, you watch it, you don't watch it. I'm really encouraging you to watch, but I'm not recommending them. Not because the video wasn't good. I just don't know. They could be making the whole thing up. I just don't know. Uh, this is the second of the TMZ UFO resolution, and it's called the Truth Seekers. That isn't on the title, but that's what it's called, and it's on TMZ or Tubi. I think Crackle or something. There's other places you can get, and TMZ and Crackle are the only ones that I know that are free. I watched it on Tubi. Uh, Tubi's got good movies and good shows on there. Crackle has really gone downhill. I mean, when I first moved down there, I had internet, but the cable was screwed up. They didn't have cable installed. I think I had to wait like a week or two. So I was watching Crackle. It was something I could watch, and it had good stuff on. It was old stuff, but it had good stuff on. I checked the other day, like a month or two ago, and it just went downhill. Uh, okay, when you again, they did this in the first one. It starts out with a short clip, black and white, of Lieutenant Colonel L. Tacker. It was way before my time, but I would say he is lying to the American people. Part of the cover-up since Roswell. Then they cut to the possibility, and I want to say that this might be Roswell or that time period. That's what it looks like. But he appears to be lying about the cover-up, and then they cut to possibly the jellyfish video and several others to show maybe the government has been lying to us. And that's how they start this one out. Jeremy Corbell comes on and talks about how they always tell us we can't handle it. The famous line from A Few Good Men, you can't handle it. And he doesn't give that. But he says, you know, that's one of the biggest excuses that they hear is we wouldn't be able to handle it. And he is convinced we are. You know, he's convinced that we can handle it. But I don't know if it's right. I really don't know if he's right. In the radio broadcast, The War of the Worlds, people killed themselves. And if some religious nuts, Taliban, Al Qaeda, MAGA, and the GOP, they might lash out if they were told their religion was a lie. You know, because I've heard some of the people that hang around Corbell, they suspect, and it might be stuff they might know things and they can't release it, or it might just be speculation from what they've interviewed. But there's speculation by some of them that we could very well be some other group's agricultural experiment. You know, we could be a zoo we could be a fucking zoo for some of these things. And the one theory I heard, it was on Quest. I think they're from Quest TV or whatever it is. I think they were ones that they were on Quest. I think it's Quest. They were on there, but it's something you can get on Amazon. I really wish. I know if I get it, I'm gonna be hooked on it, and if I could get myself to where I just get it for like 3 months, maybe shut off something else I'm getting, just get that for 3 months. I would do it, but I just gotta be. I want to live good for whatever time I got left, but I don't want to piss it away in a fire sale. Um, yeah, while we're thinking about that, if you could reach out to pretty much everybody you vote for, don't do it all. Don't do it in a sprint. Just maybe write a letter a week to somebody, but tell them we need to get legalized suicide legalized, assisted suicide legalized. Um, it really shouldn't be. I mean, because we do it, it's not publicized. At least they try to keep it quiet. But there's insurance companies and hospitals all the time go to court so they can pull the plug. And if they can do that to people against their will, against their family's will, it should be legalized where you can make that end of life decision for yourself. And I watched my mom. I watched her die in hospice. Well, I was at her bed. I literally watched her starve to death and die of thirst. And I mean, this is a little selfish. It's for me, but I think everybody deserves. I mean, again, uh, I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go wash my nose. I'm gonna get it wet. That might stop this itching. Okay, mic check. Mic check. Okay, we're working again. Um, yeah, I got a little bamboo farm over there. I think I showed you, I got an actual farm, but I just started growing some bamboo. I got a shitload of trees over here. But, but I mean, right now we've got people that are trying to destroy America. I mean, in this country, we got people that are trying to destroy their country, our country, so they can start a national Christian movement. It was just reported that the Speaker of the House, well, he's a fucking nut job. He literally thinks he's Moses or Moses like. He's basically. I think it's been reported. Now, if they're lying to me, I'm lying to you, but I'm not doing it. I fucking believe it. But they're saying that he said God's told him that he's the new Moses. I'm sorry that you've got your religious freedom, but we're supposed to have a separation of church and say anybody that's that fucking invested in this shouldn't be serving in public office. It shouldn't even be a fucking dog catcher. And but he had a Republican retreat and he turned it into like a evangelical revival. And these are the Republicans. You know, they're a little bit of the there, but for the grace of God go I. You know, the whole party, and they were flipping out. It was reported that they were saying, "Oh, this. I didn't go to church. This is just disgusting." Um, and I'm sorry, but anybody anybody that's too fucking religiously nutty for the bulk of the GOP probably shouldn't be serving in office. Um, but yeah, they could flip out. They could flip out, and an attack. I mean, that could be the thing that launches the new civil war if they come out and start telling everybody that God isn't real or the story's wrong. Same thing with the terrorists. You know, the Magda the extremist Muslim groups. And I don't think they would, but you know, even the Hasidic Jews. I mean, if they come out and tell you, yeah, fucking Moses was fucking a lunatic. He was wandering around the fucking aliens were laughing at him. He was wandering around in the desert until he fucking died. You know, and what do they say? He had to die before his people. Well, yeah, they were probably willing to ask for directions. You know, I mean, it could be bad. It could absolutely be bad. Um, but Cobell, he talks about the great effort it seems some go to silence this, discredit, job loss, wipe identity, death, and you know, like you've got these people, like you've got that Grutch, and they talk about it. I might double back on this, but they got Grutch. He testified that you know him and some of his colleagues were administratively punished. He called it administrative terrorism. Well, they haven't come forward yet. He was the first one. He was the first one. He was basically the original whistleblower. Now, they might have come forward now that he's been brave enough, but they were threatened. They were threatened, harassed. They might have been threatened with job. Hell, they might have seen what he did. You know, where they basically tried to discredit him, you know, put him up. Oh, he's nutty. He's an alcoholic. He had PTSD. All of which they knew when they gave him this job. It wasn't like he hid it from them. And you take Bob Lazar, you know, they could be wiping his identity. I mean, this is a guy that has, in my opinion, has become more credible as time goes on. You know, it's like he came out in the 90s, give or take a couple of years, and he's at least not lost credibility, but he seems like he's gotten more credible than less credible as time has gone on. And death, there was again, I don't know, I literally don't know, but one of the original Magic 12 guys, Majestic 12 was some secret UFO organization which Harry Truman started when Eisenhower came in. And the official list has like the first 12 heads of CIA. And one of the guys, I can't remember his name. Hang on, I can look this up real quick. Oh my God. AMC Classic Majestic 12 is in Chattanooga, Destiny, Tennessee. Oh God, I gotta fucking trim my nose hairs or something. Oh. If I thought you guys wanted to watch me trim my nose hairs, I'd do it right now just to get this shit to go away. Again, there's people out there that are so sure that they debunk that. I think there's room. I really seem to. The I think there's room to say that it's an unknown. Uh, there again, it's like if the people that debunked it, if it was any other thing, they would, I think the debunking they did would have been sufficed. They, I really think that it would have sufficed, and they would have been, it would have been believable. But they do the same thing that they do with, okay, they do the same thing that I talked about with George W. Bush's Vietnam record. Okay, I think it's James Forrestal. Um, and again, this is before my time. I'm not sure if there's any credible way to look it up for sure. But the story is he was gonna resign from Majestic 12, and there were people worried about him because they said he felt it should be public knowledge. And they, again, the stories, and I don't think they do this because it'd be, at least back in the day, it would have been fairly easy. Like when his brother was still alive, it would have been easy to verify. Like nowadays, good luck. But back in the day, while his brother was still alive, it would have been pretty easy to debunk. But they locked him up in, I think, Bethesda. 'Cause I think he was Navy. I don't think he was Army. But they locked him up, and I think it was Bethesda. Might have been Walter Reed, Army, but I think he was Navy, so it was Bethesda. And they had him locked up for several weeks, maybe a couple months. And his brother found out about it. And the story is he contacted the government, and he said, "Hey, I'm his brother. I am his closest near living relative. That's my decision. That's not yours." And he goes, "I'm gonna come and collect him, and I'll figure out what we need to do with him." And they let him know, he let him know that he was coming to get him. Well, the day he showed up, he jumped. And you look at what's going on in Russia. That was the first thing I thought of when I was reading those stories about Putin killing people. It's like, oh my God, it sounds like the UFO mess. Um, but he did. He jumped, and then there were people, and again, I don't know, but there were people that said the inside of the room right after it happened looked like there was a struggle, like somebody was trying to be prevented from being thrown out the fucking window. And I think there's some speculation that he was. My understanding, and I am not an expert, but if you talk to police or crime scene investigators, they might not have known it then, but they know it now. Like if you jump, the distance from the building is different. If you are thrown from the building, it's different. I think the thrown from the building usually land further away, and if you jump from the window, it's not that far. So I don't know, but that's he's the first one I ever heard of that was killed to keep this quiet. I don't know if it's true or not, but you've got that. It's pretty. There's a broad number of people that believe it. Uh, and when asked if he is safe, Corbell expressed he's like, yeah, I'm a journalist. He throws it out there, and the interviewer said, "You have a lot of confidence that makes you feel you're safe." And I'm gonna say this in light of the journalist that was murdered by the Saudi prince in broad daylight. They pretty much know that Saudi prince did it. In broad daylight. How do you know? I'm just saying that in light of the journalist that was murdered. Many have allegedly died or disappeared, never to be seen again. You go watch those 411 files, and I don't know. I think some of them are bullshit, but I think some of them are true. Uh, and that seemed to disrupt him. And Corbell needs they let it run. They showed it to you. But Cobell needs a moment to take that in, because when he was just bold as could be, and then when they hit him with that, it seemed like it hit him pretty hard. I don't think he's that good of an actor, and I don't mean that in a disrespect, but it seemed to hit him. I'm not gonna go into it. Uh, I'm not gonna go into it that much. Watch the video. The whistleblower Grutch said that he became aware of a 10-year retrieval and reverse engineering program. And I believe he did this for 4 years. But he was investigating in it, and he became aware of a 10-year retrieval and reverse engineering program. And when you follow the Bob Lazar story, they said that he was hired, and it's like it sounded like, and this I think it came from him, might have come from somebody else, but it sounds like they like they'll hire people like Bob Lazar, people from outside that show promise. They'll let them investigate it to see what they can figure out, and then they'll shut it down, and they do it every so often. So I'm thinking maybe the one he found was the one that followed up with Bob Lazar. Again, that adds more believability to his story, because you've got a whistleblower testifying under oath that he became aware of a 10-year program to retrieve spaceships and aliens and reverse engineer them. And I want to stress the Inspector General. This isn't just him coming forward, on his way to the Inquirer, or the whatever that fucking other trash news, the National Enquirer, and there's another one over in England, I think, that's the same thing. But he didn't come in and just tell Congress, hey, sign me up, I got some shit to tell you. He first went to the Inspector General, and the Inspector General reached out to Congress. If he thought it was nuts, he would have probably round filed it. Or he would have told Congress, well, if it's something where he has to go to Congress, he didn't go to Congress and tell them the guy sounded nuts. The IJ said he was credible and that the matter was urgent. I can't stress that enough. Grutch told of action taken against him and his colleagues. It but that he was told of it, that Grutch told the Congress that there was action taken against him and his colleagues to silence them. When asked by Representative Jamie Raskin, a guy that just had cancer, recovered from it, good for you, buddy, who did that, he said it was some in senior leadership at the agency he worked at. Bob Lazar, when he came forward, said he was told they would come after him. Now he might he might have brought that might not have been policy. He might have brought that himself, because when he came forward in the 1990s, it was either the late 80s or the early 90s. It was either like 88, 89, or it was 90, 91, or 92. It was right around when I graduated from high school. Yes, I'm that old. When he came forward, they disguised his voice, and they cloaked him in shadow to protect his identity. And he said his name was Dennis, and Dennis was his supervisor. So his supervisor, that may not have been policy. but I can imagine when he said he worked at S4 and his name was Dennis, he he might have been put in the rectal stretcher. Well, they asked him quite a few. He might have been in the rectal stretcher for hours while they were asking him questions, trying to find out if he had come forward. So his boss Dennis might have had some personal anguish towards him. Uh, yeah, that these stories require us to act. The fact that these unelected people are doing this is why you must contact Congress and tell them we need Senator Schumer's, the majority leader in the Senate, amendment to pass. And any of this talk of amnesty have to be crushed. I mean, this is a guy who served the military. The other two whistleblowers, they had served in the military, or they were the witnesses. They had served in the military, and God, I think he was a master chief. He was I think he was a master chief on board one of the ships, and I think he was involved in one of the videos one of the three videos, either the Go Fast, the Tic Tac, or the Go Fast video. And he was on one of the ships. He basically, I think he was the one that got Graber sent. No, not Graber. Yeah, maybe it is Faber. Maybe he's the one who got Faber, because he went to the admiral or the captain or whatever. He said, "Hey, maybe we should send some craft out there to identify, to make contact and identify those." And he said, "Well, why would we do that?" He goes, "Well, we're doing military exercises. They're in our airspace." He goes, "If we accidentally have an in-air collision, people are going to wonder why you didn't." And he goes, "That's a good idea, Master Chief." The captain like, "Yeah, you made a good point, Master Chief. Make it happen." And he went back and to look at the data, and it was gone. It was still in the computer. It showed the incident, but the data was missing. And he didn't even know how that was possible. I believe, it might have been a different ship and different incident, but I believe I saw one where they talked to the guy who was down in the ship, and he said they had somebody not in uniform come in. He was escorted by the XO, I think, and he wanted the tapes. And that Master Chief, he looked like he was broken down. He really looked like he was broken down. And this talk of amnesty, these are people who serve their country. And after he came on and take the tapes, somehow everybody got it in their head that they were supposed to ridicule and make fun of anybody that, at least it seems like, make fun of anybody that still tried to look into this. That's wrong. These people need to go to jail. We got to get rid of that amnesty talk. And it seems like the amnesty, the people were against amnesty. That's why we're not getting disclosure. But this is just wrong. If they're threatening any of these unelected people in the intelligence community, or maybe they're working for the military-industrial complex, these people need to go to jail. We've got to learn the lesson that we are hopefully learning with Trump. You have to put these guys in jail, or they'll just, even if we get this fixed, they'll just start it up again. It's just they've got to understand that this is just not acceptable. Okay, Representative Timber Chet. I'm not even going to pretend like I know how to spell it. I think I spell it differently every time. But I think he's the lone representative in the House from Tennessee. He came in and talked about what they did to him. what they did to the witnesses, and I view it as stolen valor to do this to any veteran who did what they were ordered to do. I mean, this guy didn't just wake up one morning and decide to investigate UFOs. This is what he was tasked with doing. I think it was part of a congressional action. And maybe it's not, maybe it's not, but I consider it as stolen valor to do this to any veteran who did who basically was doing their job. The Times during recent days and The Intercept and their attacks on Grudge, I really wonder if they're a tool of the disinformation camp. Now, I don't know if it's the New York Times or whatever, but I keep hearing these stories from the Times, and I don't think it's written by reporters. I think they're opinion pieces, but the story's still running them. And they're attacking Obama. And they're attacking other things. And it just seems to be at odds with reality. And like what The Intercept did when they talked about Grudge, because they had one of their reporters took it on themselves. And I'm serious, this is really worth watching. Tim Burchett came on and talked about what they did to him. And I really wonder if, like, because whatever The Intercept, they used to be a whistleblower paper. You know, they used to be, you know, again, I'm not saying that everything they did was right. I think Snowden was tied up in them, and I hope they prosecute him. But it really seems to have done a 180, and in the Times, some of the stuff they've done is just like, holy shit. I wonder, you know, and if it is the Times, I might have like two different papers, but I think it's the Times. They're the ones that broke this story out. Well, maybe somebody got clamped down. Maybe they got to somebody. Because they seem to be, you know, they're not doing any more stories on this. And they seem to be, like, I got a feeling that they're seeing that the Republicans are easier to control on this. And I don't think they care about if our democracy survives. But the powers that be might view the GOP as more easy to control, because like Donald Trump sounded like he was going to let everybody know, and it seems like they got to him, because he had promised he'd release the stuff on 9/11. It was all this shit. He'd release JFK files, and they seem to have gotten to him. Where like Biden, he actually sat down and released a lot of the JFK files. I really wish he'd release all of them. And then you got Gillibrand, Schumer, and others. I mean, yeah, the Republicans have been, like, a few of them have been talking about disclosure. But as a party, they're not really. And, you know, and the Democrats, nobody's threatening Gillibrand's seat. Nobody's threatening Schumer's seat. That Tim Burchett, he's come forward. He's talking about it. He's got a Republican not even in Tennessee that's trying to get him replaced. You know, it just, and he has said that he's had people tell him that he needs to get bodies around him. Is that a death threat? That seems like a death threat. And he said, you know, I believe him. He said that he's been told by people. Dolan, now I can't remember his name. This is a guy, he's a scientist, and he has done work. He claims he's done work for the government, and it's UFO related. I can't go into more detail just because I can't remember, but he's said he's done stuff for the government. Well, oh wait, no, this is a reporter with glasses. Okay, yeah, I think he's a reporter, but I see him on Ancient Aliens and other stuff. They talked to him, and he said the Wilson memo is real. 2002 Clinton administration. Clinton has said he asked, and if they found UFOs, they didn't tell him. And this Wilson memo, Uh, I don't want to go because I can't. I might do another. I don't think I can't remember if I've done a podcast on this or not. But the Wilson memo, there was somebody who worked in the Pentagon, and it was Admiral Wilson. I don't know what rank of admiral he was, but I don't even want to guess. I don't want to insult the guy by either giving him too low a rank or giving him too high a one. But his job at the Pentagon, he was the guy that every there's a name for it, but it's like a certain classification of secret program was supposed to report to him. They were given money and they were supposed to report to him, and he found out they didn't. And so he talked to it was Admiral Wilson, and he found out they weren't, and it's basically the reporting of him going to one of the contractors saying, hey, you've got this program, you have to report to me on it, and they gave him the runaround. These people should be in jail for failing to comply. Instead, they threatened him, and he said that the Wilson memo was real. And this is the reason I mention it, and I'm adding this in. But if they lied or withheld info from the president, if they broke the law, it's illegal, or he's just a puppet. And the fact that nobody was held accountable, this is again why we need Schumer's amendment to pass. It's co-sponsored by a Republican. I can't remember his name, and I dearly apologize because he deserves the credit too. But it really makes our president, and I've talked about this, it really makes them look like a puppet. I mean, are they the leader of the free world, or are they somebody's bitch who has to follow? I mean, and we deserve to know. Whatever it is, we deserve to know. Okay, one of the other congressional witness, Graves, he went to Mexico and was used for maybe a stunt. He went down there to testify, and they had that Mexican talk show host he's been on the UFO thing for a while. Well, while they were down there, I think that was this summer, or no, last summer. I don't know what to make of, but they had those they had these like coffins or whatever. They were like, little, and they looked like dolls, or doll size, and he went down there. He spoke out. Everything was good, and then they dropped that as a surprise on them. And I'm going to call it an ambush interview, but they interviewed him, and he was just like, he didn't know what to say, and he's like, well, I'm still trying to process what I've seen, and this, that, and the other thing. And then he was very forceful with one of the people that he didn't want the alien bodies anywhere near him when he was giving interviews. He didn't want to be a part of that. He didn't know, but you could tell by the look on his face that he's like, what the fuck? And I don't know. It could have been an effort to discredit him and Graves. Oh yeah, Gary Nolan. Okay, hang on. At this point, it was I was about halfway through this yesterday, and I got to where I wasn't feeling that good. I'm just sitting here doing this, but I got to where I wasn't feeling good, so I took a break, and I was just gonna watch it later, and I ended my notes and I was going to do the stream today. But I felt better, and because I went to sleep early yesterday, I woke up early and felt good again. So I got up and finished watching it. Gary Nolan said that he was approached with the alien bodies in Mexico, but he didn't do anything with it. But he was approached. He found it interesting, and the one thing he said is uh, he thinks that if it had been done in a more scientific way, it would have been very interesting. His opinion, I think he worded it this way: it was a good idea, but not anything anybody could trust because the stuff they did isn't repeatable. They showed a video and some asswipe had made a cake that looked like those bodies, and other people they made their claims. Well, eh, you know, if they didn't investigate, I think you can throw those out. Any claims they make without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. But the same can be said for the people that were showing those bodies. And the way Nolan talked, there was no way to identify him. And I'm not sure if that was an effort to discredit him, Nolan, Gary Nolan, and Graves, the pilot, and maybe that journalist down there in Mexico. Uh, or was the bodies real and they were just discredited by bad science? Or maybe it was a hoax. I think the guy from UFO, I think it's the guy from UFO Witness. When he was asked about this was funny. He was it was a show. I think he was a guest on a show. I think it was him. There was somebody that was on a news show. It was either CNN or News Nation or something like that, and they were in from their phone. And I didn't put this in my notes. I remember this now. I don't remember, but there was a guy they had on their show. Well, then, and they were talking about whatever story they were doing. Well, then they were asked about the Mexican alien carcasses, and the phone cut out. And the guy who was, well, I guess he didn't want to talk about that. And he came back and he goes, no, he goes, I wasn't ghosting you. My phone actually disconnected. I'm calling back in. If you're still on the subject, I'm willing to give my 2 cents worth. But somewhere in there, I don't remember where. I think it's the guy that hosts UFO Witness. Said a girl he works with was the producer or some other function in a documentary. I don't think she was involved in this, but she said she was not involved in the work, but she spoke up that but they appeared to do the DNA. She wasn't involved in any of it, but they did DNA testing and some other stuff, and I think it was either on those Mexican bodies or it was real similar. So he really then that's all he knew about it, but he did not want to say because he didn't know if it was real or not. Okay. They started talking about the two types of grays, short and tall. Now, I have heard this before. Most of the time when you hear about the grays, it's just the short ones that are like 3 feet tall. But there's another type of gray where they're they're like 5 or 6 feet tall, and they're real lanky. They're thin like the short ones, but they're just taller. And and I've also heard this before that the talls seem to be in charge, and the shorts do more of the menial labor. And they speculate the shorts might be robots or something. Linda Holton Mao has said as much. I think she has, because she was talking about you've got the reptilians, you've got I either it's a different type. Um, She talks about these ones that look human, but they're all they might be the Aryan race. They might be the Aryans that uh, uh, they talk about when they talk about Operation High Jump. He supposedly met some aliens that were identified as Aryans. There's speculation that they are the true master race that Hitler ran into. That started him on the whole. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I've heard. But I've also heard of a race called the Asgardians, and they appear to be this blonde. I don't know, but they said if they were dressed in human clothes, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. They'd look very attractive, very beautiful, but they would appear as us. And Melinda Moulton Howe has talked about the Roswell, the Greys, as being robots or drones or something. And I don't know, but I'm just speculating if these are some form of alien. It might be a caste system. It might absolutely be a task system. It could be that the shorter ones are like the offspring, and until they get older and more experienced, they're stuck doing the menial labor. I mean, and we just don't know. They could be us from the future. I don't know. But it just giving some extra thoughts there. And then they go into Oumuamua. I did a video on this and cover some of what they did, and again they showed the media coverage. Mostly gone silent now. If you remember, there was talk of this all over, and it's largely gone silent now. Is it because the news got bored? Or because the fantastic story was crushed by somebody in authority? They covered that Avi Loeb, Harvard head of astronomy department. That sounds like an important job. That sounds like a job they don't give to an idiot. He explored the sea, and I did remember seeing some of this. He explored the sea and may have something that was might have found something that was alien, recovered off the sea floor. There was supposedly, I think, Jacques Vallée or whatever. It's a French guy. Him or somebody, I think, said they saw like something in the sea. And Avi Loeb, I think, went to that, or it was a site of a megalithic site, some underground structure. Well, he found these little balls, and they appear to be alien, or he speculates they may be. And the thing that they said was, I'm not saying they claimed or found that this was the case, but they said that you would be able to tell from isotope ratio if it was made on Earth or not. That would be, I think it's isotopes that, even if it's steel, even if it's it's a fucking alloy that starts with a T, titanium. Whatever it is, if it's got an isotope ratio, it will pinpoint, kind of like what they do in Star Trek or others, where they find something and it tells them it's a clone, or that they find something and it proves that they're from another dimension or whatever. Well, this is the kind of the same thing. There's an isotope ratio that's unique to Earth. If it's on another planet with higher gravity or lower gravity, it'll have a different number. So they have ways to test this, and and he was attacked, much like you see in archaeology. him and his work has been attacked largely without evidence. But it's people out to make him look bad, make him look, so again, it'll cost him his job, even though he's doing the right thing. I don't think he's an idiot. Now, maybe he's getting old, but he doesn't seem like an idiot. He seems excited. He seems definitely excited. But this cabal that is afraid of a possible truth, not approved. And if no other reason, I suggest you watch this just for what Gary Nolan's reaction to Neil deGrasse Tyson. They started showing clips of Neil deGrasse Tyson in there. And he starts out saying Neil deGrasse Tyson needs to grow up. And his whole, again, I've seen him before, and he always strikes me as, I really can't tell. He always strikes me as someone that, he could be a government plant to act like he's pro UFO, so he can slip disinformation in every now and then. I'm just saying, I don't expect anybody to believe this. It's just a feeling I get when I watch him, and this could be part of that. But I fucking loved it when because he goes into it a little more depth. But just that part where he goes, Neil deGrasse Tyson needs to grow up, and then it's all downhill from there. But God, that was good. Because again, I think that's the guy that needs to be taken down a peg. I think that is a guy that when he talks about what he talks about on his TV show, all the power to him. But when he talks about UFOs, I think he's talking out of his depth. And I always hated my one math teacher because when I was young, I was really good at math. I didn't need paper for a lot of it. Since I've gotten sick, that's something I've lost. I could do a lot of calculating in my head. When I was working at GM before I got sick, they had us go in and take a math test. It wasn't that hard. It really wasn't. But some of the people that have been there that were out of school like me for, they struggled with it because they just weren't used to doing it. But the girl that I couldn't do it because I think I had to take a day off and or leave early to come up and do something in my home state. And so I wasn't there, so I had to make up the test. And when I went down there, she goes, it was the girl in labor. She goes, well, are you ready to take the test? I go, yeah. She goes, do you have a calculator? And I go, no. I really didn't think I'd need one. She goes, oh, and she was really nice. She was absolutely really nice. She goes, well, here, I'll get one. She dug out her calculator, and she goes, you can use this. And she left for a few minutes. She only left for a few minutes. And I got the test done. I didn't need the calculator. I didn't need scratch paper. And when she came back, I was sitting at her desk, and she goes, oh, do you have a problem? I go, no. And I made her notice the paper. She goes, you're not done. Because she really was only gone for like 10 minutes or less. And I go, yeah, I'm done. She goes, you can't be done. And I go, I'm serious. I go, I'm done. And she goes, oh, will my calculator help you out? I go, I didn't need it. And I think her name was Sarah. She was really a sweet person. Like I'll get into that in a minute. But they and she goes, she was just freaking out, and I go, hey, just out of curiosity, I would really like to stay and see you grade it, because I go, I think I got it, and she did it, and she's like, oh my God, I didn't have one wrong. I think I might have had, I don't even think I had one wrong, but she was like freaked out, and I was the only one there. It wasn't like there was somebody handing me answers or whatever. I was the only one there. I wouldn't have known that she was going to leave while I took it. I believe she was the one. I had somebody on my team. Usually, the experience with labor people, they were just fucking like the one that I dealt with later. She was like a religious nut. The one guy, my committee man, he said that she engaged in a fact-finding mission from God. The person on my team that came, she goes, she didn't want to talk to anybody anything positive. She just talked to the few people that didn't like you, and then that's all she was. When you showed up, and she found out that you had a positive opinion of me, she didn't want to talk to you. She just quit listening. She got through the interview and then sent them on their way. And I don't know if any of this is true, but my committee man told me that she wanted to fire me, and she pushed it enough that corporate. I mean, again, the whole thing could be bullshit that they told me, but he said corporate told her she didn't have any reason to fire me. Um, but Sarah, she didn't. It's a long story, but she was like one of the good ones. That's probably why they got rid of her. But they had a guy on my team. I can't get into too much because it's his history, but he had a sick kid. He had at least one, maybe two sick kids. He couldn't afford to take time off, because he needed every penny for them. He was only getting paid half pay. He was getting half of what I was getting. They fixed that now. But back then, he was tier 2, and he was making shit pay. And he was trying to get that FMLA. And he tried repeatedly, and everything got fucked over. He didn't get it. He told me the one time that he was going to these doctors, and he goes, you know what I really want for Christmas? And I go, what? He goes, I'd like a diagnosis. It turned out to be one of those things that affects like 1% of 1% of the population. They didn't even make drugs for it. One thing he told me is they were trying to treat him with stuff that's used in other, because it was just so few people had that problem that they just didn't make drugs for it. So they were trying to find something close and hope it could help his kids. But this is before they found out what it was. He goes, that's if he goes I'm not trying to be mean to you, but he goes, you want to know what you can get me for Christmas? Get me a diagnosis. And he went up, and I was told he talked to her. She got him on FMLA. She got it approved, and that was not a normal thing. She was. That's probably again why they got rid of her. She wasn't a fucking idiot, and she knew how to get stuff done. She believed in treating the workers fair. That's probably why she had to go. That's not what they wanted at that plant. I'm not saying it's corporate, but that's what it is. But they again showed a clip of Cobell showing confidence in his safety again. They mentioned that this time they mentioned the journalist was killed by the Saudi prince, and they gave more of his reaction to it. This whole thing is well worth the watch. I am hoping to do the third one for tomorrow. Maybe I'll finish it today. I don't know. Maybe not. I'll at least get part of it watched today. Do the notes on it. And for those of you that stuck around, I might mention this again. I reached out. The Mr. Fugel, Brandon Fugel, is on Threads now. He never used to be. I don't use Twitter that much. I basically go and check it when I'm uploading my videos to YouTube. And that's the only time I check it. So it varies. Sometimes it's every couple days. Sometimes it's, every 2 or 3 weeks. But I didn't think of this, and I saw this jellyfish video a while ago. I think when it first popped out, I watched it within a week or two. I was seeing the jellyfish video today. And it just dawned on me, so I reached out to Mr. Fugel, or Brandon Fugel, and I reached out to the official Skinwalker. Now they've been on there before, but I told them I had just watched it, and I go, I just thought of it. I go, I've got health issues. It sometimes takes me a while to process stuff, but I go, that jellyfish UFO video or UAP video, they are saying that it could not be seen with the naked eye. It could not be seen with night vision. That you had to have thermal or some other. I go, do you guys have the capability, or can you acquire it? Because I mentioned to him, I go, you know, you've probably already thought about it. You may have already done it, but you need to set up some kind of those cameras that they might only be military. They might not have the ability to do it. But I go, if you haven't, and you have the ability to get that technology, you need to put some of those cameras up on the ranch, and start seeing if there's anything there. Because they had that one thing that appeared. I don't know what it is, but they had that one thing that appeared when they were shooting rockets, and I think that was only caught because they were it was that high-speed camera. Well, they might be able to see stuff without shooting rockets at it. So I go, and I go, if you've already done this, I'm sorry I wasted your time, but that was what came to me today, and I reached out to him and I told him, I go, I can't wait to see the next season. I'm gonna be liking that and enjoying it, however much time I got left on this earth. But I go, I'm waiting for the next season. And I go, just be careful. And that when we start doing the new season, I can at least weekly or every other weekly, I can cover an episode or two and talk about it. Peace out, and hope everybody has a good day.